Hello, I'm Richard Maybury. I'm the editor of U.S. and World Early Warning Report newsletter for investors. And my friend here is Jim Powell. He's the editor of Global Changes and Opportunities Report. We're here today because of our success, which bothers us a lot. The Wall Street Journal just released an article saying that the stock market in this decade, we're in 2009, put in the worst performance in 200 years of recorded history. Now this is while the subscribers to my newsletter and Jim's newsletter have done wonderfully during that same decade. And that's, to us, it's good, it's nice to make money, but it's scary because it means that the economic paradigm on which our investment advice has been based is probably a lot more right than any other paradigm out there. And the paradigm right now is saying, look out, all hell is going to break loose. So the simple fact that our investment forecasts have been looking good is an indication that we've got an awful lot to worry about. It's nice to make money, but money isn't everything that life is about. And so Jim and I have another agenda that we're going to be talking about today, and that is the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. We believe that the trouble that's coming economically is going to produce some terrible political changes and social upheaval, and that America is going to set off in a new direction when that happens. And we need to get the country aimed in the right direction, which, in our opinion, is a new dedication to the Bill of Rights. Now, Jim and I this morning were talking about his view on one of the signals that you'll see when the big trouble is starting. And why don't you take that, Jim, and explain what we were talking about this morning?
Well, I think we're going to see a double dip recession. And the second dip is likely to be much harsher than the first. And I think that what we're seeing right now, what looks like a recovery, is really just a bounce that's due to the $2 trillion that the Fed has dumped into the economy. And once that has run its course, then I think we're going to get back to the basic fundamentals of the U.S. economy, which are really quite poor. And we're going to wind up seeing another dip down in the economy, and I think it's going to have an even bigger impact on people than the first one.
Right. You were mentioning specific things that the individual can expect to be happening, if not to him personally, to people he knows.
Well, I've noticed in my travels around the country that most people have been able so far to hang on to a lot of the luxuries that they consider almost touchstones or indicators that they're doing better than they might otherwise think. Mm-hmm. They've kept their HBO, they've kept their cable TV, of course, they've been able to hang on to their cell phones and a lot of other little perks, even though they've cut back in other places. And my worry is that this next downturn, this next twist of the screw, is going to cause people to have to give those things up too. And when that happens, I believe that many people are going to realize for the first time that this economic situation is far more serious than they've been led to believe. And they're not going to be very happy about it.
Yeah, what I homed in on in our discussion earlier today was two things: the cell phone and the cable TV.
Yes.
When people find out that prices are rising very fast because the Federal Reserve has been devaluing the dollar and they can no longer afford the things that they used to be able to afford, one of the first things they'll have to give up is their cable TV, and they'll have to go back to the antenna on the roof. Yes. And get maybe 3 stations. And then on top of that, the cell phone, when they find out they can't afford their cell phones anymore. Those two things, I believe you're right, are going to have a tremendous psychological effect.
Yes.
It's going to dawn on them that they really are headed backwards in a very real day-to-day sense.
And as I say, when that happens, I think that they're going to be very, very unhappy about it. They're going to be unhappy with the politicians that are representing them. And I think we're going to see some real political upheavals occur.
Yeah, I think you've already got a population that is worried, in a lot of cases terrified, and the only thing that's holding it all together right now is they're trying to talk themselves into having a faith that the government will pull this thing out and things will get better. And as you say, in the next leg of this thing, which is probably going to involve a real sharp decline in the value of the dollar, they're going to find out once and for all, it's going to dawn on them, the government really doesn't know what it's doing. It's lost. It has no paradigm that works. And then they're going to panic, and then they're going to get really mad. And the question then arises, what happens in the streets?
Yes, and I think that one of the things that they will also realize is not only does the government not have a clue as to what is going on, but they probably made many of the worst moves possible.
Right.
That by putting so much money out into the economy that leads to inflation, that they've actually made the situation worse for both businesses and individuals.
Right. I should point out that Americans are always the last to know what's happening to America. The foreign holders of dollars are already making it extremely clear they're trying to find a way to escape from the U.S. dollar.
Yes, they are.
And the typical American has no idea about any of this. He has no concept of what currencies are about or the supply and demand for currencies. And so he's going to be the last one to find out that there's something seriously wrong with his currency. And when he does begin to understand that, there's going to be an emotional shock that will run through the population, and then look out.
Yes. Well, people overseas are dumping the dollar. There's just no question about that. The Chinese especially have something like $1 trillion US in reserves, and they are buying. One of the reasons that we have so much purchasing of commodities and raw materials right now and prices going up, even though the economy generally is poor around the world, is that everybody is using their dollars to stock up on things that they know they're going to need over the long pull.
Right.
So they're buying steel, they're buying excess oil, they're buying every bar of copper they can find. And that's one way of getting rid of the dollars at something close to full value.
Right. And that brings us back to when the truth of the government's dysfunctionality, putting it politely, begins to dawn on Americans, they're going to panic, and then they're going to get angry. And there is going to be some sort of political upheaval, I believe. Now, we can't be certain about any of this. Who knows? We could be wrong. But I think that our investment track record lends an awful lot of credibility to the further forecast that big social and political trouble is coming. And then the question is, what direction will America go in? And I think that that's why, we're here. We talk about this all the time. We are really worried that the trouble that's coming will cause America to veer off in the direction of fascism, or maybe I should say more fascism, and away from the Bill of Rights. And you can see the beginnings of this already. Whenever you walk into a commercial airport, it's like walking into Nazi Germany. Show me your papers. Let me see your papers. And everybody there's a level of tension. They're scared to death. And the reason is they're afraid of this authority because the Bill of Rights has been undermined to the point that they believe it's a perfectly natural thing to be questioned as if you were a resident of Nazi Germany.